Okay, today is Monday, April 1st, 2024, and this is the 5:30 p.m. regular meeting for the Architectural Review Committee in the City of Palm Springs. And roll call.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. Member McCoy.
Here.
Member Poline.
Here.
Member Fredericks.
Here.
Member Thomas.
Present.
Members Dorsey are absent. Members, Member O'Donnell is absent. Member Thompson called excused, and Member Walsh called excused. So you do have a quorum.
Thank you. Can we get a report on posting of the agenda?
Yes. The agenda for this meeting was made available for public access at the City Hall exterior bulletin board on the west side of the council chamber and the planning services counter by Wednesday, March 27th, in accordance with applicable law.
And can we get acceptance of the agenda? A motion to accept.
So moved. So moved. Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
And do we have anybody here for public comment? This time has been set aside for members of the public to address the Architectural Review Committee on the consent calendar and other agenda items and items of general interest within the subject matter jurisdiction of the board. Although the Architectural Review Committee values your comments pursuant to the Brown Act, it generally cannot take any action on items not listed on the posted agenda. 3 minutes for each speaker.
There's nobody in the waiting room that's waiting to speak. Is there anybody here in the audience wishing to speak on public comments now? No. So there is no one wishing to speak.
Okay, move to the consent calendar. First, we have the approval of the minutes from the last meeting, March 18th, 2024.
And on this, members, you'll be taking all of the consent agenda items together with one vote. So if anybody wants to pull item 1B and have it fully considered, we can do that at this time. Otherwise, if there's no one wishing to pull anything from the consent agenda, you'll be approving both the minutes of March 18th as well as the cannabis sign, that's item 1B. All right with that? Okay.
Okay. All in favor?
You want to get a motion in a second?
I so move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Oh,
Thank you.
okay, so we have new business, a request by Lindsay Holt of the Holt Group for approval of a major architectural review application and an administrative modification application to construct a 5,500 square foot single family residence at a maximum building height of 29.5 feet on a 27,678 square foot lot previously developed hillside location.
Thank
Oh, yeah,
you.
there we go.
Good evening, everyone. The project in front of you tonight is a proposed single-family residence at 1821 West Westview Drive. Oops, sorry. The applicant is proposing the construction of a new single-family residence, which is 5,550 square feet on a lot that's 27,678 square feet. The applicant is proposing the maximum building height of 29.5 feet instead of the code required 18-foot maximum. In conjunction with this major architectural application, applicant submitted an administrative minor modification for the proposed building height. And this is the area view of the project site. This project site does not have an existing structure right now. However, it was previously developed. As you can see, remaining foundation here. The site was once developed, and unfortunately, the city does not have any records that can verify what the structure was or any details pertaining to the land use. And this is a topography of the site. The site's topography slopes down from its northwest corner to northeast corner. And the elevation difference is approximately 113 feet, with a steep slope in the back. And as it was mentioned in the staff report, the site was previously graded without the city permit or review. And these are the two images just to compare what existed at the site before and what it looks like today. And as you can see in the photograph on the right side, the site currently has a flat surface along West Crestview Drive, and there's a steep mound in the midsection. And this is a site plan. Applicants proposing a curvilinear driveway which leads to the driveway which facing the west elevation, as well as a pedestrian walkway which leads to the residence as a main entrance on the east elevation. The proposed building design is a U-shaped with a pool and outdoor living area in the middle. And as you can see, the applicant is proposing a mechanical enclosure in the the direction is actually incorrect. So the primary elevation is actually east, and the rear of the property is west. But the proposed residence also includes the pool enclosure in the back, as well as a fence and a gate to control access to the outdoor pool. And this is the first floor elevation of the proposed residence. As the staff mentioned, the driveway leads to a garage door. The garage door actually faces the north elevation, so it's not gonna be visible from the street. And in addition to a garage, the first floor will accommodate entry area as well as caretaker suite, and applicants proposing an elevator for the second level access. And this is the second floor. The proposed design includes expansive balcony facing the primary elevation, which is the east elevation. And as you see, there's a mechanical enclosure in the side yard. And these are the 3D renderings of the proposed building design, viewed from all angles. The applicant is proposing various the use of various construction materials such as potent steel, brick, stucco, metal. And for landscaping, they are proposing the use of boulders and gravel and pavers. This is a primary elevation to the east elevation of the proposed residence. The building footprint of the first floor is gonna be staggered and angled. And the upper level is gonna accommodate this expansive balcony and just the horizontal building. And the east elevation will accommodate louver screens, which can be open and closed. And these are just the different scenarios that the applicant provided to just give an idea of what it looks like when they are fully open and when they are partially closed and when they are entirely closed. And this is a south elevation, which is a side yard facing elevation. Again, applicants proposing the use of potent steel for the upper level exterior treatment, and the proposed materials for the first floor includes a stucco and brick, as well as glazing. And this is a north elevation, which is a side yard elevation. As you can see, the garage door faces the side, not the front. And the similar architectural treatment is proposed for the upper level. And this is the rear elevation that's being proposed. And applicant is proposing to install a 6-foot-high landscape wall against the mountains in the back. And as staff mentioned, applicant is proposing the maximum building height of 29.5 feet. And this is just to show how the proposed residence sits on the slope, the site. And this is a roof plan, and this is just to show the building footprint, how that's gonna be located under the roof. And applicants proposing a solar panel installations on the roof, which is gonna project no less than 12 inches above the top of the parapet. And this is the proposed landscape design, which based on the staff analysis, staff finds it can be already improved in a design to better meet the guidelines and the requirements. And the staff is just like go over those items very quickly. The first one is a treatment. As you see boulders on the north side of the walkway, staff finds that this big cluster of boulders can be separated with a landscaping material in between to soften the edge treatment. And the second one is the linear placement of a Palo Verde, especially this one at the southern end, the staff finds it can be pushed a little bit towards the walkway to provide a shade. And the next one is the boulder treatment right here. Staff finds that additional planting materials can be added for the area. And installation of boulders here by the entry garden for consistency. And staff finds that this proposed landscape, pedestrian lighting on one side of the pedestrian paths can be rearranged in a way that they will be installed in an alternate pattern so that the illumination will be more natural. And the proposed plant materials include black brush acacia, which is a prohibited material according to the Coachella Valley multi-species habitat conservation plan, which is stuff is gonna go over in a few minutes. And also the proposed plant materials include non-native plant materials, which staff is proposing or is gonna be requesting the ARC to reconsider and have them replaced with native plant materials. So this is to analyze applicants' request for administrative minor modifications approval. And as it was noted in the staff report, the applicant's proposing the maximum building height of 29.5 feet instead of the code required 18-foot maximum. With the approval of the administrative minor modification application, the building height may be increased up to 30 feet. So what applicants requesting here is within the threshold that's permitted under AMM approval. And in order for the ARC to approve this AMM application, the specific findings that are noted in the zoning code must be met. These conditions are consistency with the general plan and the zoning, and that approval of the application will not create negative impact. And the last one is that approval is justified by environmental features, site conditions, location of existing improvements, or historic patterns of the property or neighborhood. So, in analyzing the applicant's AMN approval request, staff finds that the request is justified by the site's topography, which has a very steep slope in the back, and then also the shape of the lot. As you can see, the north property line tapers towards the rear, which forces the development towards the front of the lot. And then also the site is adjacent to existing two-story residences on both sides, as you can see here on this drawing. And the last thing staff would like to share with the ARC is that a portion of this project site is within a conservation area, which is identified on the Coachella Valley multi-species habitat conservation map. And even though the project area is out of the conservation area, it is subject to their land use adjacency guidelines. And under the guidelines, it requires that all plant materials to be native plant materials. And then also this black brush acacia is actually prohibited. And this is a new information which came to planning department after the agenda was published, is that CVAG, Coachella Valley Association Government, is requiring the installation of a barrier for this project because of the project site's proximity to the conservation area. And as you probably saw in the plan, the applicant is proposing a 6-foot high wall to enclose a pool area. However, according to them, it's not tall enough. And alternatively, the applicant applicant can install a barrier at the owner's expense if there's any sighting of a bighorn sheep or any other wildlife presence. So, with all this information, considered, staff finds that the project generally conforms with applicable development standards. The project generally meets the required findings, architectural and hillside review criteria, except for inconsistent application of landscape design principle and landscape lighting placement and notation about borders. Also, the project has to be consistent with Coachella Valley multi-species habitat conservation plan land use adjacency guidelines, which prohibits a black brush acacia and requires the use of native plants and a barrier installation requirement. Other than that, the project is in conformance with applicable regulations and guidelines as conditions. And then also the implementation of these conditions of approval that is issues discussed above will not alter the nature of the project or the character of the proposed design. And for the reason, the staff recommends that architecture review committee approve the project subject to the conditions of approval recommended by staff, in addition to the following specific condition, which is the barrier requirement as imposed by CBAG. The applicant shall work with the planning services staff to increase the height of the 6-foot high rear wall, or the property owner shall install a barrier at owner's expense should the sheep ever be identified on the property. And this concludes the staff presentation, and staff and applicant are both available if you have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Noriko. Does the committee have any questions for?
Yeah, no, I have one question. So the last condition with the CVAR requirement for the fencing,
Yes,
that either or, help me understand that. So the applicant can work with city planning to get, to increase the height of the wall,
yes, go ahead, sorry.
or not do anything unless there's sheep identified. That's a little confusing, so.
Right, correct. This is actually a recommended condition that was given by the CDAG. And they say that, yes, the 6-foot high rear wall can be increased, but they were not able to give us exactly how tall would be sufficient because of the condition.
Right.
But then they also mentioned that the property owner, can install a barrier at owner's expense if there's any kind of a sighting of, bighorn sheep entering or being on their property. So, yes, if the owner decides to take the route of increasing the height of the wall, the staff will definitely, work with the CBAG and applicants to find out what will be the appropriate height. But yes, yeah.
Seems a little vague.
Yeah, would that barrier be required to, because obviously if you just do it along the back, they walk around. So is it required to like encompass the property or join existing walls? Cause it feels like if you just put a tall wall behind, it's pointless.
Right, this is definitely something that, the staff and the applicant will need to work with the CBAG just to determine exactly, what kind of barrier that needs to be. Yes, the condition is given, but as you can see, it's pretty general. So that I think applicants definitely going to need some kind of assistance from the city to really find out, what needs to get done for the property. But this is actually the condition that's, they said recommended, by the CBAG to address the issue.
Can I follow up on that also? The increased wall height or the fencing should sheep be seen. Does that increased wall height go into the future also? Is that part of the or is they can only do the wall now and then have the other option later?
Yes, so again, this is one of the things, yes, applicant has option of choosing to increase the height right now, but not knowing exactly how much is adequate for the wall to function as an effective barrier. I mean, it's a little bit difficult for the applicant to implement this particular condition, meaning they increase the wall height right now. And if the applicant choose the latter to meet this condition, then the city staff and then also the property owner will be working with the CBAG to see exactly how that can be incorporated for this project.
Well, kind of just, it sounds like, depending on the location and also the materials, besides the height, there's a lot of variables here that are gonna change the cost of doing this quite a bit, so, I would say that more information is needed. And it looks like they have a proposed wall, you said, in back of the pool.
Right.
Is that just at the owner's, request, or is that for any specific?
That
reason?
was part of the owner's original design, but owner, I don't think it was their intent to consider installing anything higher than 6 feet. So,
Just to make code for the pool.
Mhm.
And just if I can add a little information, I think this is gonna be something that will be pretty easily resolved with the conversation with CVAG. This came to our attention fairly late in the processing on this project, and I am sure we are not the first case of a situation of a private lot backing up to a conservation area. So we'll find a reasonable solution to it.
Regarding the building height, has there been any comment from the surrounding neighbors, to the building envelope?
no, the supplying services have not received any comments from the neighbors as of today.
Also another question regarding the landscape plan and the requirement for native materials, and I'm wondering how specific that requirement is as far as do the materials have to be endemic solely just to this area? Can it be Southern California desert? Is there any description of what is considered native and non-native?
Yes, so the CVAG's land use adjacency guidelines
Mhm.
include a list of plant materials for the applicant to choose from, and I can share that information with the applicant after the meeting, so they know which plant to choose from, basically. Yes.
Just in a couple of the photographs, I've noticed the telephone poles or the electrical poles, above ground. Is that consistent up on the hillside there? Those aren't buried?
Let me see.
So,
I like the picture.
Like on 12, page 12, that actually really surprised me.
Page 12.
Yeah.
Let me see.
Probably Alter Studio on the back.
And engineering staff can answer that question, anything relating to utilities.
Those are beautiful power poles. What are you talking about? Good afternoon. Yeah, up in the Mesa area, there are a lot of overhead poles. They're very unattractive, but the cost of undergrounding them is very expensive. I think I worked with you on a project that we did that too, yeah. So.
For the
in
record,
this-
I buried mine.
So in this project, what they're encouraged to do is to find out, how many of those lines are under 32,000 kilovolts. If they're under that, by rule 20, they're supposed to underground them to the nearest offsite pole. In this case, in Hillside, knowing what Edison's requirements are, we find that this is, just too costly. It's just cost prohibitive. 10 years ago, the cost was roughly 30 grand per line, per segment, and then per pole. I mean, you're $900,000 just to go to the nearest offsite pole. It's just not feasible. So in this case, we usually have them sign a covenant, waiving their right to protest in the future. If Edison was ever to come in and do an assessment district to want to underground like the entire neighborhood or something, they would most likely float a bond, create an assessment, and then they would be assessed at the time and follows the property.
Thank you.
The applicant's actually, team of an architect who's attending this meeting remotely, and I'm pretty sure he'd like to, speak to the ARC, just so you're aware. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you, Noriko. Very thorough report.
There we go.
No. Participants. There are 10 people actually.
Committee, no more questions for engineering? All right, yep, have a good afternoon. Thanks, Rick.
Thanks. Should I allow?
Okay, would the applicant like to make a presentation?
Sure. Hi there, can you hear us?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak with you. And we really are here primarily to answer questions or to give further color if there are any questions from the architectural review board. Really briefly, we put together a very small a short presentation, but we have all of the documents that you guys have in front of you if you want to have questions about anything in particular. Can you see our screen?
Yes.
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 Great. So do you want to go to
Let me see.
Oh, there's just your logo on it.
The logo.
just our logo? Okay. So can you move to the next image, Will? So
I think, well,
can you
I don't think we're sharing our screen.
can you
Do we have the ability to do that, Noriko?
Yeah, you probably have to give them permission.
Yes, I don't think we have a.
The share screen only shares this computer screen. Are they able to work through the slides that you have?
Will,
Yes.
we're happy to do whatever you want.
are you able to provide your presentation by using the slides that I have?
You know, we couldn't see which slide you were presenting because it wasn't shared on the screen, but we're happy. You mean you're going to advance it? We'll just say advance.
Well, they don't have the
They don't have the-
specific order we have.
Oh, they don't. Yeah.
Noriko, and usually there's an option on Zoom to allow other people to present.
Permission, yeah.
At the bottom, I think, either under participants or the share screen option. There's a little tab at the corner, and if you click on that, there's an option to allow other participants to share their screen.
Oh,
There you go. Yeah,
yeah. This.
there you go.
Oh, great.
Oh, is there a way for you to allow us to share our screen?
Yeah, that's not their screen.
Yeah.
That's
okay.
not.
Can show that actually.
Yeah, stop sharing ours, you know,
Yeah.
and
Try participants.
Yes. This. Because right now, Luther Studio is attending the meeting.
3 dots.
Yeah, let's see.
I think promote to.
There you
that
go.
one right
There you
there.
go.
Okay. Oops, maybe. All right.
Okay.
Okay, I think that did it. Thank you.
Sorry.
Well, we don't have you
No,
up
no,
yet.
not jumping in,
Yeah,
just
yeah.
like that now. Okay. Excellent, good job, there you go. Team.
I've been in that position many times and need someone like Will to help me figure it out. So my name is Kevin Alter. I'm here with my colleague Will Powell. We've been the primary architects working on the project, and we have a great fondness for Palm Springs, and it's been a pleasure to work on this. I should say the firm is very well recognized nationally. We win lots of awards, and I'm a professor at the University of Texas here. And before being an architect, I did a lot of work on mid-century modernism, and in fact, have taught classes in Palm Springs, or the focus has been Palm Springs. So very briefly, what we're doing. Maybe we can go to the next slide. Well, you all are reasonably familiar with the site. Can you see my cursor if I move it around? Is it?
Yes.
Yes.
So just for clarity, this is the property that we're working on. And the larger view of it. It is at the end of the road, and it is, well, we have other slides to show what the neighbors are like. Do you want to go to the next? This is just to illustrate what the neighboring properties are like. I think it's relatively self-explanatory that all the neighbors are two-story buildings that are appear to be at the 30-foot maximum height. They have and have been there for some time. We for our design, this was just up for comparison, that we have we're showing our building in relationship to the height of the others. It appears slightly higher than some of the neighbors because we've pushed it to the back of our lot in a part to allow the living room of this building, which is in the front of the tall section, to look across, to maintain its views across the front of our property. And in part because this is a house designed for a couple that want to age in place. And it was very important to have it be a single-story living residence. You can see that much easier on this slide. Thank you, Will. Where we've sited the building so that it digs in just a little bit at the back of the property, but it would all live on one floor with a potential caretaker's kind of residence below. And we've pushed it back so that the living room windows here and here can still maintain their view across our property. This is just a view that we put together just to help illustrate the existing condition, which we have here from that corner. And then just to show this is the existing building, and this is the existing neighbor. This is our building. And by pushing it back, it actually reduces the presence of the building, and even though it still goes to the same height as the neighbors, but by pushing it back, the mountains beyond we think are much more present. The plan is kind of laid out respecting the mid-century modern kind of aesthetic of Palm Springs, operating around a courtyard with the main living space caught between their private view of a courtyard and the sort of view of a deck out to the valley. It's set up really for optimal solar orientation with big overhangs and things like that. And like I said, sited back so that it doesn't get in the way of the neighbor's views. Maybe the next. And then we put these in just to illustrate a little bit. I think you saw these images before, how it would sit on the property. This is the kind of the broad, you see it at an angle, so it seems even bigger than it is, but it's really set up to push back from the existing building here, and to be relatively discreet in the landscape. We're trying to use a series of materials that or collection materials that would blend in with the landscape. This is just a shot of the boulders that exist right at the back of the lot, trying to use the weathering steel, the natural stone and natural stucco to kind of fit in, as it were. And then just some other views of the building with the hope of a great big porch obviously for passive ventilation, but also to be able to have a kind of lovely view out from their terrace over the valley. And our thought with the vegetation in the front was really to create a kind of I think the city put it as a kind of lush garden in the front for everyone, and we were going to leave the back totally undisturbed. It's worth saying we only learned of some of the species requirements for the landscape just this past week, but we are very happy to accept all of the recommendations from city staff. And you want to go to the next one?
That's it. Yeah.
Oh, and then that was it for our presentation. I mean, I'm happy to. I'm a professor. I can talk forever about nothing. So I'm very happy to elaborate. But our clients are really interested in being good neighbors. They've gone out of their way to speak to the neighbors. I think they've solicited support, and or I know they have, and already spent a lot of time here, and are hoping to live out their years here in this home.
Great, thank you. Do you have any questions?
Kevin? Can you talk a little bit about the louvers, the screens in the front, which is really great? What is that material? That's not Corten steel, is it? Is that a wood?
It is all Corten steel, and it was just meant to be open and shut to to give some more shade and protection, but but to have a little bit of a kind of dynamic presence, you know, that it could change a little bit.
And will that be electronically controlled?
No,
How-
it was all gonna be sort of analog, the little
Manual?
stepper at the bottom. Here, Will's gonna pull it up again, I think. Yeah. And they were just like hinged panels that can open and shut.
Do you have any idea how heavy you think each of those panels is gonna be?
Well, the idea was to make them out of perforated steel, so relatively thin steel.
Okay,
So not a, I don't think there'll be a huge weight or so.
so you're not thinking solid?
No, like the hope was that these were things that would be very easy to operate.
Okay.
And cast beautiful shadows and things like that. But what like we always love buildings, at least from our own perspective, that somehow change a little bit. So we were thinking that depending on what's happening, they open them all, they close a few of them, they close them all. It seems like it gives it a little extra character, but.
And even when they're closed, there's like a translucent
That's right.
quality to it that you
I
get
can
from.
see that now, yeah.
And we thought it would be like a lantern if the lights were on inside.
Oh, that's great.
Mr. Chair, it looks like we may have a couple of people in the waiting room and, so what we're going to do, if we can minimize this and open up that list, Noriko. If anybody that's in the waiting room wishes to speak on this item, could you please use the raise your hand feature in Zoom and let us know and we can call on you. And it looks like we're not getting any, so looks like we just have observers. So back to you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Member Pohan?
So so it's my understanding that solar is required on new buildings, so I don't think these would be future panels. So I think, unless I'm mistaken, but I believe they are required on a new construction.
That's it.
Yes, for single family residence, correct.
Yeah, so they will be as a part of the project. And I was sort of, my first thought on that was, how are the edges being screened? But I think that the house is elevated in such a way that it'd be very difficult to see them kind of from any angle. The only thing I would be a little bit concerned with is, I don't know, does this house have visibility from Lichen or Lickin Trail? That anyone would know? Because I don't know if you'd be able to look down on that from that trail.
Don't think it does.
And I'm thinking the angle of them would be sort of south facing, and I'm trying to noodle whether that would be an issue for the panels. No, that's a no back there?
Yeah, the trail's pretty high.
Okay. Gotcha, okay, good,
That's not what it
good.
is. Okay.
I don't hike that enough as much as I should. Personal confession. The other question I had was I didn't see trash enclosures. Unless I missed it.
There should be, or trash enclosure actually is not required for single family residence. So if the applicant choose to place the bins in the garage, they're able to do so.
Okay, I thought they just couldn't be visible from the street.
If I can interject, we had planned on putting it into the garage.
Gotcha, okay,
It's,
great. And then my final question / comment is, and I'm sure you guys are aware and are already thinking of this, but Corten has a habit of staining anything that's below it. And you can see that in evidence at the Drift Hotel, which is stained all over their concrete below them. So on the sidewalls, where you have stucco below, I'm assuming you have some kind of drift detail or something that will prevent them from staining the walls below. So I just wanted to bring that up as something I've witnessed and want to make sure you guys think about it.
Thank you. I appreciate that. We have been, we have included a kind of drip edge and a cantilever. And so the only area I think that will be affected would be the line across the driveway. Really, as it, you know, as the car enters into the garage, and I guess for the front walk.
That's all I have.
Okay, so I'm looking at the garage level plan. And I see the pool equipment enclosure. And the next level up is where the pool is. How does the pool man get from the equipment to the pool?
I think the plan, that's astute, that the plan was that there would be a gate walking around the north side of the property. We'll pull up the plan and just walk through it, but that the pool person could come up that side and enter that gate there.
Missing the walkway.
Yeah, there probably needs to be some sort of walkway for him to pull equipment up a fairly steep hill to get up to
So there's a gate right here.
to that area.
Yes.
Right, I saw the gate. I didn't see any definition of it.
That's all. Right there.
And where's the equipment on that, Nico?
The equipment is right,
On the
well, let me
garage-
just go to the
garage level.
different, yes.
Down by the driveway.
So, it's right
It's on the
here,
first.
yes, so that's the equipment enclosure for the 48.
Yeah, so that will need to be worked out, some kind of access
Mm.
for the pool. And I will concur with staff's recommendations on the planting. Certainly getting more native plants into the scheme. Deer grass is attractive and it has spread everywhere, but it just looks like it's spread everywhere rather than being a true ornamental. So I'll concur with that as we proceed. Any other questions or comments?
Yes, the photograph of the property shows obviously a lot of boulders scattered all around. And I'm not sure what the plan is to do with those. Will a lot of them be buried? I just see grass, smooth expansive gravel in the proposed landscape plan. Is that the ultimate goal?
Let me see if engineering side is still here. No. So one of the conditions that I imposed by engineering services is that the site be, returned to the original conditions as much as possible. In terms of proposed landscape design, yes, the applicant is proposing to retain this existing, condition and open space as much as possible. But the design also includes, the installation of boulders that are at least 2 feet in size. Just to prevent additional site alterations here, staff is actually recommending a conditions of approval. This is actually on page 3 of the staff report. I'm sorry, it's actually page number 2. Yes, and the recommended condition number 9, the proposed landscape borders shall not be sourced by on-site excavation or further site alterations.
No, I understand that.
Right,
I'm assuming that some of the existing boulders will be repurposed
sure,
for the project, but there are quite a few. I'm seeing the photograph and I'm not sure what's going to happen to all those boulders to create a smooth surface. Will they be buried?
well, I think that's a question to the applicant's team, to see
Okay.
exactly what kind of technique they're thinking about implementing to address that. Yeah.
I
Oh.
can speak to that as
We
well.
think the boulders are beautiful, so I think we want to try and keep all that we have that's already out and just to arrange them on the site in an attractive fashion.
Hi, my name is Lindsay Holt.
Wait.
Yep, sorry. Do you need address as well?
And turn on your mic.
There you go.
There you go.
Lindsay Holt, the Holford, 63951 Cook Street, Suite 103 in Palm Desert. So if you refer to the grading plan, there is a demolition site plan on sheet 2 of the grading plan. And we expect that there will be some significant site grading for the contractor to complete. We did have to submit a slope analysis as requested by the engineering department, which was based off the original topographic survey that was done prior to the illegal grading. So we do have a map of what that original topo looked like, and the hope would be that the contractor would work with the owner per the demolition plan and the proposed grading plan, which is yet to be submitted for review by the city, but you have the draft here, which will return as much as possible the existing site to the pre-existing conditions prior to site grading. But I did want to note as well that although I believe this, just for some additional background, I believe that the grading that was done on site was to access the adjacent property, which the applicant is also the owner of, and just went through a large remodeling to that property so that the construction crews could access that home in the rear. So that was the whole point of the initial illegal grading, which the contractor did go into the city and ask if he could grade a road to that property, and the city did say yes verbally. I just don't think they knew the extent to which the contractor was going to grade. But I do have to note that the city did ask for an additional 10 feet of right-of-way along the property for Crestview, and it matches pretty much in line with what the contractor graded back.
Nice.
And it's all going to be paved per the applicant at his expense. So you will have, the full half width there. That's being required by the general plan, by the city's general plan.
Great, great. No, I see the proposed grades and looks like it's going to be restored, which is great to see that. The only question I had was, I guess if you look on page 3, the aerial photograph of the property itself, it actually shows the proposed boulders where they're going to be located on your landscape plan. But then where there are no boulders, the entire property is smooth. There's only gravel showing. There are no other rocks showing. And that was my question. Was that the intention?
That was the intention, and I believe there's gonna be some export here, but, there's an existing, pad already on the site that's going to have to, be dealt with as well. So there are a number of issues that will be addressed in the grading plan once it moves through, the city, but of course, the intent is to have it match with the elevations and renderings that were submitted. That's what we all envision to see, is what the owner would like to see, so I'm sure he'll make sure the contractor makes it happen.
Thank you.
Just out of curiosity, is the owner's current property to the east or the west of the both site?
It's to the south, actually.
Oh, to the south, right?
Yes, it's that interesting building that juts out, right, I believe it's from like the 30s or 40s originally. Which is why the city obviously doesn't have any information from the pad on this site, because we feel like that was probably installed right around the same time, so it's been there for quite some time. And the applicant's also here, if you'd like to hear from him. He's available if you have any questions.
Would the applicant like to make any comments?
Need my name?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm Tom Hart, we're the owner of the applicant.
Wait,
And-
go ahead and tell us. Sorry, we gotta work on.
Oh, just turn it on, yes.
There we go. Tom Hart, the owner of 1821 West Crestview, which we're talking about. And also 1851, which is the property next door to the south. And really, my only comment is, I appreciate all the work that the city and city staff have put into this, and working with my architectural team and the engineering team, and we're really excited about this. We think it's gonna be a beautiful addition to to the neighborhood and for the city, so. Look forward to working with everybody and working through the rest of the process and the questions and get it all completed. Thank you. Any questions for me?
No.
Thank you.
Okay. Do we have a motion?
Any other discussion for?
Oh, yeah, sorry, discussion. I felt like we had a discussion.
We kind of have.
Any comments of the committee?
I'll start. I mean, I think it's a handsome project. It's, at first, kind of when I looked at it, it felt like it was a bit, kind of a bit of a hovering hulk, but as I studied it more, I kind of like it, the way it works. So, I think overall, the way you floated it over that, lower section is great. Again, my only real comments are just be careful with the Corten because it can make a mess and you just want to make sure that, something that's this, special, you want to make sure it's well detailed on that part. So, but a great project.
Sure, go ahead. Yes, I agree, and I support everything that staff has approved and also recommended. As far as the landscape goes, I think the fact that it's going to be reworked mainly with different plant material, it gives the owners an opportunity, the architects an opportunity to introduce slightly different material. I'm seeing a lot of grasses. To me, the weight of the house is not kind of dominates and could use a little bit more weight down below. So I'm going to suggest that rather than using so many grasses, to use more succulents, more like agaves, cacti, things like that have a little bit more presence to them. And native shrubs. I think the houses on both sides are considerably lush. Relative to this property, so I think a little bit more plant material in the way of shrubs and things besides grasses would be welcome. And also the gravel, I think, I'm not sure, but the color is beige, which is very monochromatic, which could end up looking industrial. So I'm going to suggest possibly checking different multicolored gravels like Palm Springs Gold or Desert Gold. That's it for me.
I agree with everything that's been said. I think it's absolutely beautiful. I think it's a really nice, modern addition to the neighborhood, but still gives a nice mid-century nod. I love the U shape around the pool. I think it's beautiful. And I actually, for anyone who knows me knows that I love Palm Springs white, but I really do love the earth tones on the building. And I have to say, I actually like the monochromatic look with the rock. It feels really zen and it feels like it just disappears and your eye is drawn to the landscape and the house is secondary. So bravo.
I will concur. I think it's a very good looking project. I like the choice of materials. The Corten steel blends beautifully with desert varnish on the rocks behind. I think it's an interesting layout, very useful. It suits the site well. So I like it.
Yeah.
Okay, so do we have a motion?
Go ahead.
I make a
Oh,
motion to,
Actually, one second, sorry, I forgot to ask one question. The MMA portion, do we have to have a separate vote on that, or is that
No.
included?
oh,
Okay,
just the AMA. I vote to approve per staff's recommendations.
I'll second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Nicely done.
Thank you.
Okay. Do we? Yes, do we have any committee comments or requests? Okay,
I do have a quick question, and I know I keep bringing this up. The complex that's going in uptown next to the Denny's, I think, or no, it's right next to 1501 Bistro.
Mhm.
Did we review that project at some point? Because I don't remember it unless it was done before I joined or.
Is that all? I'm not
I
sure.
think it's, yeah. Yeah,
Aloe? Yeah, it's
it
aloe.
did go through ARC.
But at a long time ago or
That was about 3 years ago.
3 years
Yeah.
ago? Okay, yeah, so it was probably just
Someone
before.
with a better memory than me.
Thank you. Okay, I just wanted to check because I just couldn't remember it and I wanted to check.
It's West Hollywood, Developers. I think that's the name there.
Okay, do you have any planning director's report?
There is a brief report that Chris wanted me to mention. As you know, we're starting the comprehensive upgrade to the zoning code. And the company that's been hired to do this, which is Code Studios out of Austin, they also have an LA office, are going to be on site next week. And they're gonna be meeting with individuals from each of the city's boards and commissions. And so we'd like to know they're gonna be here from the 9th until the 11th, pretty much throughout the week. And we're looking for 1 to 2 people from this committee who could meet with them and just, it's kind of an open-ended introductory discussion. What do you find works? What do you find doesn't work? What do you find difficult? You know, just them getting acclimated with the various boards and commissions and a little bit of the work and how you interface with the zoning code. So would 1 or 2 of you like to be available to meet with them? You cannot. Jackie, would you be available? No?
What date is this?
I'd recommend,
It's
the peop- I'd recommend the 2 people that are missing.
Yes, that's the funniest thing. Would either of you like to be available?
What's the date?
I would, but
It's anytime next week. We don't have specific dates yet between the 9th and the 11th, Monday through Thursday. They'll be in town.
Yeah, I could do it.
You know, okay. Do you want to be available to participate at all or?
I would, but I'm in Texas.
Okay, that's a long ways away.
Yeah.
Okay, Steve, we'll work with you then, and if one of the other 2 want to join as well, we'll do so. So thank you for that.
Sure.
And that's all I have.
Okay, then with that, we are adjourned. Time is 6:32.
Thank you all.
Thanks.
Thanks.